So we're excited to show you a new beta feature we launched in Alpha Y that's going to help you quickly import P&L data or tax returns into the system for further analysis. We've all spent countless hours entering numbers into spreadsheets, and we have an option here to significantly speed up that process. So I've got a fictitious business here. It's called Sweet Spin Candy Company. And I want to sort of start from the perspective of going through a typical workflow. So we're looking at this business, they've got 219K in SDE. They're asking $1 million. It's a pretty high multiple. So we're thinking about offering 659K into as our initial offer. If I look at the financial data, I've got really good debt service coverage for this, based on the loans and the parameters that I put into the system that have all been covered in a different video. But now that I've got the SIM, I'd like to sort of take a look at this new beta feature that allows me to look at multi-year P&L information or tax returns. So here's my SIM. It's Sweet Spin Cotton Candy Company. It looks like a pretty typical SIM that I would get. Lots of extra information in here. And whether we have a single page PDF that just has the data table or we want to take an image snapshot, we can then extract that information into the system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screenshot of this financial table or any financial tables. Doesn't matter if it's over multiple pages. You could take multiple images or upload multiple PDFs. So I've got my financial information. I want to come to my cash flow analysis tool, and Add column will allow me to manually input all of my COGS and expenses, which is incredibly efficient. But if I'd like to take a shortcut here, I'm just going to upload a P&L. And it tells me right away that I can upload one P&L statement at a time, supported formats, and so forth. I'm going to click Upload. I'm going to grab that screenshot that I just took. I'm going to parse that P&L. So it takes about maybe 5 to 10 seconds to bring that information in. And there's a couple key things that are going to happen here. One, if it identified the year for the column, it's going to put that information in here. If it didn't, it's going to guess. And I can always update the years. So 2021, 2022. Looks like this one's got 4 years worth of data. Looks like it's got a very high confidence score for this gross revenue at the top. And then as it goes down, it seems like it miscategorized the COGS for a few different of the typical expenses. And then it started categorizing operating expenses. So I'm going to keep scrolling down, see if there's any additional information in there. Oh, it looks like it got a seller add back, but I got confused whether or not to put the salary in there as well. So let's put that in as a seller add back. Again, I can do this quickly by just referencing the SIM that I just had. It correctly grayed out SDE as that's a sum category, and it's going to do all that summing up for me. So I want to remove any sums before I go in. I can edit the names or the amounts. It'll also alert me if I've got zeros. It didn't calculate something for certain years. In this case, maybe let's say I don't want to include inventory in there. And I just want to include the rest of the items as I go forward. So I'm going to import those. And what it's going to do is it's going to start creating all of those line items in the database that are going to be fully editable afterward. The only thing that you can't edit afterward is the name. So pay close attention to the names before you import them into the category. Okay, great. So even though I was feeling pretty confident before, this is going to take into account all of the financial information that I've got under my sources. So in this particular case, it looks like one of my main concerns is that 2023 really doesn't have the debt service coverage, and the banks are going to want to have an explanation for that. Now, what if I wanted to go in and change some of those expenses? I could come in here at any time and edit those categories or remove particular columns out of here. I can then come in and add in additional things like my buyer salary. I can add in, I could take out things like, I just don't think that this other category is really going to be okay for a seller add back as I go forward. Once I've completed all of this, I can then take a look at insights associated with this. So I can look at its growth, its margins, and some additional information that it's going to put in there as flags for this particular business type, which I'll go into in more detail in a later video. But for now, as you can see, it only took me a few moments just to get all that information in. I can then add in additional years as I get them. For example, if I get the broker to give me trailing 12 months because 2023 wasn't looking so good and I need some more data, I can then take a scan of that and import it into the system really quickly and start updating my analysis.